I'm very grateful to Neil Farwell, who supported me at the Mythic tier and brings you today's video. I did do a deck tech on Y'shtola, but we'll do another quick one before the gameplay here. She keeps track of the amount of life that a player loses until the end of the turn and then draws a card if someone's lost 4 or more. But the important one is that bottom ability. Whenever you cast a non-creature spell, mana value 3 or greater, it will drain everyone for 2. And make note of the fact that that says damage as opposed to life lost. The fact that this deals damage is unusual in Esper, but it is relevant. So what are we looking to do? Well, it's mainly control the game and then get into some kind of combo, a means of drawing a heap more cards and continuing to control the game and drain our opponents out. Go over some quick combos first of all. Bloodchief Ascension should be easy to level up in a multiplayer game, at which point whenever a card an opponent controls hits the bin, it will drain them for 2. If Mindcrank sees that, it will see the life loss, mill them, which is obviously cards going into the bin again. That will trigger the Bloodchief Ascension for more drain, and it goes in an infinite loop like that, either turning your opponent's library upside down or draining them out, whichever comes first. And then not infinite, but with cards like Curiosity, I just noted that it is damage that our commander does with its drain. So with cards like Curiosity, Ophidian Eye and Tandem Lookout, these each care about damage, and it includes non-combat damage, so drain each of your opponents, assuming you've got 3, and draw 3 cards every time you cast a 3 mana plus spell. So with us being a control build, we've got plenty of interaction. I've dumped a lot into the interaction label here just because I couldn't be bothered parsing it all out. Sigil of Sleep, similar to the other enchantments, except this one bounces creatures whenever we drain our opponents. You'll notice that a lot of the interaction is 3 mana because that's the CMC our commander cares about. Amphibian Downpour can hit multiple creatures and remove abilities. Anguished Unmaking is obvious. Dismember, even if we only cast it for 1 mana, its CMC is still 3, so it will still trigger our commander when we cast it for 1. Hideous End is ironically a hideous card, but it costs 3, so we're including it. Void Rend, one of the best removal spells in the format, but you hardly get to play it thanks to the cost. And with the spot removal, we've got some free ones as well. There is Snuff Out, we pay 4 life to destroy a non-black creature. And Slaughter, we do have to hardcast, but we can pay 4 life to buy it back. So as long as we've got the mana, which we may well have in the late game, we can consistently play this multiple times per turn cycle. There's some Pillow Fort effects as well, because we're not exactly inundated with creatures in this list, so Ghostly Prison and Propaganda not only trigger our commander, but protect our life total as well. Have some counter magic also, again at 3 mana. Unwind is basically free, because we untap the lands. Undermine can have our opponents bleeded out even more. And Press the Enemy I really like, because in the mid to late game we'll be able to get a free spell out of the bin, which is likely going to trigger our commander a second time after we've already cast this. And then Board Wipes really quickly, nothing all that interesting I don't think. We're going to gain a lot of life in this deck, so Toxic Deluge should be fine. We've actually got decent toughness on the commander as well. Cyclonic Rift will not trigger our commander even if we overload it. The CMC is determined by the printed cost, not the overload cost. Although it's noteworthy we could run X spells. X spells do change on the stack with regards to their CMC. Don't think there's any of those in here though. Yahenni's Expertise, similar to the Press the Enemy, we get a free spell with this. So our commander will survive the -3/-3 and then we trigger it a second time once we get the free spell with Yahenni's Expertise. And Farewell just completely resets the board, because if we're lagging behind then this can gain us a lot of time. Oh, there's some more combos here I've just noticed. We've got some more drain as a bit of redundancy, so Kambal will drain for 2 as well, but based on opponents casting non-creature spells. Veto and Enduring Tenacity are near enough the same cards. Whenever you gain life, target opponent loses that much. So with something like Bloodthirsty Conqueror, which does the opposite, an opponent loses life and you gain that much life, Bloodthirsty Conqueror with either Enduring Tenacity and Veto is infinite drain again. And then Sheoldred, if you're going to build this deck, pretty interchangeable to be honest. It's just going to go with the drain/life gain theme of the deck, but not exactly imperative. A lot of the card draw is pretty standard as well. Sig, a decent commander in its own right, and we're easily going to be having opponents lose 3 or more life, so that draws us. Brain Surge is a souped up Brainstorm, and with that comes with the additional cost, taking it up to 3. Draw 4, put 2 on top. Frantic Search effectively free, like the Unwind counterspell, meaning that we can play this in a turn and then go on to play another 3 mana spell later on if we want to. Necropotence refills the hand. Painful Truths in a 3 colour deck is draw 3 for 3 life and 3 mana. Read the Bones, you can look at up to 4 cards with this. And Risky Shortcut, we draw 2 cards, but each player, including ourselves, loses 2. This goes with the bleed theme again. And then Jin-Gitaxias looks at mana value 3 or greater as well, draws us a card. So that can just sit there and cantrip us if we like, but it does transform into the Great Synthesis. Not necessarily looking to do this because it will bounce our commander, but if we want to use it as a slow wrath, then the option's there if we want it. Then to round the video off, just got some miscellaneous cards. We're not really looking to swing in with our commander, even though it does have vigilance, so we could do. Death Touch and Lifelink on the Basilisk color will gain even more life from draining all of our opponents thanks to it being damage. Lifelink works, so we can either more easily get through with combat damage thanks to Death Touch, or we can just hold it back as a blocker. Reanimate reanimates anything from any graveyard, and we're gaining a lot of life, so not too worried about the life loss from this. Delny, you can just go and look through the deck list and look at all the 2 and below powered creatures. This will make them trigger twice as well as make them unblockable. I spot a Kambal up here, so this will drain our opponents for 4 as long as Delny's in play. Mithril Coat protects our commander for 3, it will equip itself for indestructible. Unstoppable Plan is no Seedborn Muse, but as long as we've got enough rocks in play, we should be able to tap out on our turn, untap the rocks and be able to do at least a little bit of something on our opponent's turns. And then I've got some flash enablers as well with the Valley Floodcaller and High Fae Trickster. We can do things at flash speed, which is obviously much better than doing things at sorcery speed. Unwinding Clock, exactly the same thing as the Unstoppable Plan, except this does it on every upkeep, so it will give us additional mana. We're in Esper, so we're reliant on rocks for our ramp. And then finally there's a little bit of discard matters stuff here, so Helm of the Gas Lord, once again we're dealing damage with the commander, so not only will we draw more cards with this, similar to the Curiosity stuff, but we'll make them discard as well with Helm of the Gas Lord. And Painful Quandary, as I've mentioned several times, we have a bleed/drain theme in the list, so they have to either discard a card when they cast a spell or lose 5 life, and that 5 life will really mount up over the entire course of the game. So we've seen Y'shtola on the channel before, but she was a popular one, so I've decided to run her again, and let's go see how it does this time. A 3-lander with a bit of ramp and a means of refilling our hand with card draw, so this is good. Up against Felothar, Lonis and Urza. We keep Curiosity off the Surveil. I think we have to keep hold of. Lonis on turn 2 is pretty typical. I think next turn we just have to try our commander. We don't have protection for it anyway, then hopefully we can hold up Undermine. Ideally we'd get into a blue mana so that we could go Curiosity and Undermine. Went for Tail the Suspect, so investigate and play an additional land. Then he's got access to Kellen at some point. Priority being held up by the Simic player as Felothar enters play. So do they have counter magic for our commander? I think now that I've drawn into Thran Dynamo, I might rather play that anyway. Another great 4-drop, the Smothering Tithe for the Esper player. Kind of makes me think that they don't have counter magic held up, because surely you would counter this. He investigates when a Wood Elves enters. Feyburrow Elder enters as a 3/3. And there's a Crashing Drawbridge to give haste to things as well. Decides not to swing in with Felothar though. Okay, well, there's a combo in hand, Veto, along with Bloodthirsty Conqueror, so might have to try and slam both of those in together at some point. Now I don't want to miss a land here, so I'll just hope that we have one on the top 4. Alright, well, there's a Talisman instead, but no land apparently. So we have to put our 2 combo pieces on top apparently. Maybe we're just going to have to Windfall. So yeah, I'll just put these on top and not go for the wheel, I think, because we're giving our opponent enough mana with Smothering Tithe. Let's just set up our mana a bit, get down the Talisman, and it doesn't matter between Propaganda and Ghostly Prison, I don't think. We're still short on blue mana. It'd be ideal if we could hold up Undermine once our commanders come down. As a Chief Artificer, we'll be able to swing in through our Pillow Fort if he continues to make this much mana. Although if he spends the treasure, he's going to debuff his Construct. Currently a 10/10 menace. Junk Winder cares about tokens entering and it puts things to sleep, so can hurt the mana here, keep things from getting haste, stop this thing from swinging in, makes a token immediately and puts the construct to sleep. I wonder if this turn we can go for Y'shtola into Veto. Did I put Veto on top? That would be ideal, because then we could go for the other vampire and then go for hitting with Y'shtola. Anguished Unmaking over to the Smothering Tithe. And then another Dork, Sylvan Caryatid. Okay, we did draw. Alright, yeah, I did stack Veto on top, so let's go for Y'shtola and attempt to stick the Veto. Steel Overseer for the artifact deck with 4 cards left in hand. Cranial Plating, that's a good one with all those treasure in play. Plays Magcinth Wellspring as well. And the token is now a 15/15 with Menace. Hopefully we'll be tapped down again. Jaheira is going to make it so the clue tokens can tap for mana. And he makes another token when that enters. The Junk Winder puts the construct to sleep. Those are now 16/16s with Menace. And then plays that Kellum from exile. So when it attacks it can destroy an artifact. And a creature entering makes another clue. So he's got 4 green mana available, 4 cards in hand. And re-puts the construct back to sleep. And the 5/6 swinging in towards us, we'll just take the damage here. I think it triggers our commander. Yeah, it's any player losing life, so we'll get to draw a card here, meaning that we've got a chance to draw into a land and maybe be able to hold up Undermine. Although I'm thinking we just go for our 5 mana vampire straight into Propaganda next turn and just try to get the combo going immediately. Arasta is likely going to trigger on our stuff, making spider tokens. So really it's only the Esper player and his 3 cards in hand that we have to dodge with this treasure mana. Fellothar sacrifices the Crashing Drawbridge in order to draw, so it goes up to 6 in hand. Alright, we draw into our plains, that's the last colour we needed, but it's better than having no mana, so let's go for the Bloodthirsty Conqueror, see if we can do it here. Actually getting into that land means that we can go for Curiosity and the Propaganda. Suppose, yeah, 6 cards in hand over here. We could go for Windfall, but I don't have any free counter magic in the deck, I don't think, so yeah, let's just go for the Curiosity onto Y'shtola. And the combo only works because we need to target with Veto, so it only works if our opponents actually take the damage before scooping, which they probably won't on Magic Online, but we can just take that as a genuine victory. So Y'shtola triggers to the Propaganda and deals damage as well as gaining us life. So Veto, we'll just point it down the middle arbitrarily. And we draw 3 cards to the Curiosity as well. There's a Sigil of Sleep to start bouncing all the creatures as well. More card draw in Trouble in Pairs, so if our opponents can interfere with us, we've at least drawn into some good cards here. Get another trigger with Veto, so I'll point it at another player to minimise the chance of players scooping and messing us up. Might be that our opponents haven't spotted the combo yet, but this just goes on forever. We gain life from Bloodthirsty Conqueror, and whenever we do that we can point the life gained at an opponent with Veto, and as long as we can target all of our opponents we just do this forever. So I'm just going to save the targets on Veto and see if we can crash the client with this. Lonis looking at the top cards of his library, forcing him to sacrifice all his clues to do it, and takes a Kambal from us, that won't do anything. So decides to quit on us, and we've still got some life gain triggers fortunately, so he did quit with that trigger on the stack. And we can see that the life total is slowly ticking down 2 little bits at a time here. Looks as though our opponents want to play it out, but the client's managing to keep up with us fortunately. Be great if it could handle all the combos like this. So that player goes down, and it's rinse and repeat, same as before. It'd be funny if this guy had an answer to it now, and he just gambled letting the other 2 players go down first. And there we are, big thank you to my opponents for playing that one out. Glad I got to show you all that combo. A lot of the times it's good to just sit back and allow your opponents to do scary stuff and use their interaction on each other. I think the Ghostly Prison effects would do a lot of the heavy lifting for us there if we didn't manage to combo off straight away. But just dumb luck that we got into both the pieces we needed right off the top without any tutors. So hopefully you all enjoyed this revisit to Y'shtola. It's going to be the space set next week. I thought I was going to get early access this week, but the beta is closed off to the public, which I didn't know. So I can't actually organise Commander games in the beta where we would get early access. Anyhow, not your problem. Big thank you to the patrons for their financial support of the channel as ever, and I hope to see you all in the next one. I'm tribalkai. Thank you for watching.